Childhood traumas are actually often overlooked, yet they are the major traumas playing out in our daily lives. Like firstborn trauma, carrying the wound of being the firstborn, illegitimate child trauma, carrying the trauma of being a bastard, being a child outside of marriage. Also, the prenatal abandonment trauma, carrying the wounds of being rejected, while you're still in your mother's womb by your father or both your parents. Outcast trauma, carrying the wounds of being rejected like everywhere, and this often leads to visibility trauma, greatness trauma. So I know a lot of people suffer from these, traumas, and let's heal together, and if you suffer from or you're experiencing 4 of them, trust me, you're not alone. Sisonke. Looking at the prenatal or early life abandonment, where you're being rejected, as a child in your mother's womb. This is where a child is not fully welcomed, emotionally, physically. The nervous system registers that I'm not safe, I'm not wanted, So this isn't a thought that you choose. It's a body level imprint formed before language. Personally, my biological father rejected me when I was few months in my mother's womb and never allowed me to carry his name. And also being a illegitimate child, identity wound, being made to feel like you shouldn't be here, this leads to deep shame, even if nothing is actually wrong with you, and a constant need to prove your worth, feeling like an outsider, even in spaces where you actually belong. This really, personally, as I was carried to a marriage, you will feel that, and constantly reminded that you don't belong here. Like my other step siblings will even call me a Ivezandlebe, and other family members, where you constantly reminded that you don't belong here, you really don't belong here. So that actually builds this wound that you carry and never have this feeling of belonging, and also like being the firstborn, you carry certain wounds, this firstborn trauma, as a first child, especially in unstable environment, you often become the emotional regulator of the household, the strong one, the one who sacrifices childhood to take responsibility. Myself, when my dad passed away when I was 11, 12, 13, I had to become now a parent to my siblings, taking care of them, being responsible for everything, including their homeworks, because we separated with my mom. She stayed behind and we had to relocate, and I had to be the parent. So having to carry that wound and never enjoy your childhood, those wounds, you carry them everywhere, and also these are the hidden cost of this. You learn to give love but not receive. You give but you can't receive. You feel responsible for everyone. This has played out in my life throughout, even in my vocation. When I stepped into my awakening, I felt responsible to assist everyone to align with their vocation, to heal their traumas, to come right with spirituality, and that wounded me so much that I found myself neglecting my own healing. Also, you struggle to rest without guilt because you forever are having the need of working, of making things right. So having to rest comes with so much guilt. And also, as a firstborn child, there's these sibling displacements that happened, carrying displacement wound where when your younger siblings arrive, the attention shifts, you feel like I've been replaced, and this often creates fear of abandonment in relationships. You're scared that you're gonna be left alone, even if you've healed your attachment traumas. But this really comes with that, and being sensitive to rejection and having to overachieve or overgive so that you may be chosen. So this rejection have also followed me everywhere in my life. My daily life has been carrying those wounds, and also, like, because of these wounds, they don't live in logic, they live in your nervous system, so even when life changes, your system still scans for rejection, being overlooked, not being chosen. It's always scanning for that. And when something even slightly similar happens, your body reacts as if it's happening all over again, really. And how this pattern actually forms, it's when we're young, few things actually happen, if not most. When you stood out intellectually, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, these patterns, they form. Instead of being celebrated, you're often ignored. You can do great, really great, but you will never be celebrated. You'll be ignored, criticized, and actually sometimes made to feel like you're too much. You're never welcomed, so you're constantly rejected. So your nervous system made a very intelligent decision to say, look, shrink so you can belong, and really that wasn't weakness, that was adaptation for survival. What later on turns to saying, like, as you grow, the pattern evolves into holding back your ideas, your power. Now you can't show your power, you can't show your greatness, because you have to remain small for you to be accepted. Downplaying your achievements, you have to look at all of that. You can't just shine just anyhow. You can't just announce your achievements. You can't play big, you have to play small, and making yourself relatable, by dimming your light, even when you know that this box is too small for me, but you have to speak the language that they speak so that you can be accepted. And having to feel guilty for shining, when you feel that now you have to shrink. You can't overdo, you have to remain within, so that you are accepted. And you end up attracting spaces where you must stay small to be accepted, because your system had to make a decision to just shrink so that you belong. And the deeper the conflict becomes, you'll be like, if I'm fully myself, I might be alone. So you're scared of being who you truly are. But the hidden truth is that you were never rejected because you were too great. You were in an environment that couldn't hold your magnitude. There's a difference between being too much and being unmatched in capacity in that space. Really, it is a difference. So why this shrinking actually feels automatic, it's your body still links visibility to danger, brilliance to rejection, expansion to loss of love. So even when you consciously want to step forward, your system pulls you back, and the shift you're being called into now is that not being confident, but something deeper, having to feel safe being seen. So now having to redefine belonging, is the thing. You were taught belonging requires shrinking. You're now learning that true belonging requires authenticity. Yes, this may mean fewer people, but it will be the real connections, real ones, not conditional acceptance. Not conditional acceptance. I was not born into softness. I was born into a question that lived in the eyes of those who were meant to receive me, but didn't know how. Before I could speak, my body learned the language of absence. Before I could walk, my spirit learned what it means to arrive and not to be held. I was the first, the beginning, the opening of door no one was ready to walk through. So I became the bridge. I became the one who understands without being understood, the one who carries without being carried, the one who gives before ever learning how to receive. And somewhere along the way, I made a silent agreement with the world. If I become less, maybe I will be loved more. So I shrank. I fold my brilliance into quiet corners. I softened my truth so others could breathe. I dimmed my light so I wouldn't blind those still learning to see. I become acceptable, digestible, manageable, but never fully met. And the wounds whispered, do not be too much, do not be too seen, do not outgrow the room, or you will be left again. So even in my greatness, I carried invisibility. Even in my power, I practice disappearance. But something in me, something ancient, something untouched, refuses to die. And knowing a fire that said, you were never a problem, you were never too early, never too deep, never too much. You were simply born in spaces that couldn't hold your magnitude. And now I stand at the edge of everything I was taught to fear. Visibility, expansion, truth without apology. And my body trembles, not because I'm weak, but because I'm rewriting a lifetime of survival. I'm no longer shrinking to fit into spaces that outgrew me the moment I arrived. I'm no longer negotiating my existence for acceptance. I'm no longer dimming what was never meant to be hidden. If I am seen, let me be fully seen. If I'm heard, let me be fully heard. Let be the whole truth. If I'm rejected, let it be for my authenticity, not my performance. Because I now understand I was not born to belong everywhere. I was born to create spaces where my fullness is the standard. I was not born to chase acceptance. I was born to redefine it. And if that means walking alone for a while, then let solitude be the womb where I finally meet myself without distortion. I'm no longer the abandoned beginning. I am the chosen origin. I'm not the outcast. I'm the one who could not be contained. And now I rise without shrinking. I speak without filtering. I exist without permission, fully, unapologetically, as I was always meant to be.
Don't want nobody else around me, just need you right here. You're like the only thing that I see.